Happy rest day.
Happy rest day.
It's good. So you we're sitting down to dive into the Targum, and what do you have? You're reading the book of the Order of the Ancients. So what is that?
Possibly by, or believed to be by Elijah. And it also has the writings of Abraham, and highly controversial for whatever reason. There's some pretty hard to understand stuff in here, but I think this is like a stepping stone, right? Like you don't just immediately come into Torah and then start reading writings of Abraham.
Right.
After you read Enoch and Jubilees and so many other books, the writings of Abraham aren't that crazy. But they're essential, I think.
Well, we learned so much more. I learned so much more about Abraham and his father Terah and his childhood and kind of where he came from, if you will, in the book of Jasher.
Yeah.
And that is, I highly recommend, if you haven't read any extra biblical text, to start with the book of Jasher.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it helps fill in missing pieces that you didn't even know were missing, in Genesis. Just I don't know. It's just almost like just a history. It just it complements. I've said this before to a couple people. It complements Genesis really well. So, anyways, so you are about to read something to me from the book of the Order of the Ancients.
Yeah, this is the writings of Abraham, and these books are they're just incredible at understanding the Melchizedek priesthood,
Which is a very...
Yeah, so I've heard so many sermons growing up about the Melchizedek priesthood, pastors talking about it and giving a whole sermon about it. But when you really boil it down, they're only talking from just a few verses.
Hebrew.
Well, Hebrew, Psalms, and, of course, in Genesis when Shem is mentioned.
Right.
Or when the Melchizedek priest king is mentioned. Melchizedek just means priest king, so it's just or king priest. He serves as a priest and a king, and he just comes after the order of the firstborn. And when you learn that, Adam was a Melchizedek, Seth, possibly Jared, probably Abel, so many of them, and you learn that Noah and Shem and Abraham was taught under Shem and became a priest. And these are people who are able to transcend the veil. So they're able to, I left out the biggest one, was Enoch. Not the biggest Melchizedek, but he is the preeminent one in the beginning.
Pre-Messiah.
Yeah, pre-Messiah, yeah. He was able to transcend the veil and taken up to be in paradise, and to basically record the works of man for Yah. It's incredible. And him being a Melchizedek priest, but Abraham as well. And it's the order of the firstborn, and when you learn some of the things from the Melchizedek priesthood, the things in the New Testament start making so much more sense, because as a Christian, we've grown up Christian our whole life, and in a Baptist church, you and I, and we were taught mainly, we knew the Bible stories of the Tanakh, but we were taught mainly New Testament stuff. And we thought,
in terms of how, what our beliefs were founded on.
Yeah, everything was New Testament, mostly. Yeah. Of course we know about the Old Testament, but most of it was New Testament. And when you start going back, like, we thought we knew New Testament. I always thought I knew it.
Yeah.
But now that I've gone back through the Torah, and when you start actually believing to keep the Torah, and you actually see, oh, wow, this was written this whole time, and it's still applicable. It's still exactly what we're supposed to do. When you start keeping Torah, then you start looking at the New Testament like, well, what in the world is the New Testament talking about? Because there's some things in the New Testament that are like, they seem to be almost against Torah. Now, there's a lot in probably more so in the New Testament, pro-Torah than there is
anti-Torah.
Anti-Torah. By the way, if it's anti-Torah, that's antinomia. That's lawlessness. which is Antichrist,
Right.
which is the lawless one. So
Right.
if you do believe in anti-Torah or anti-law, then that is the way of the lawless one, the Antichrist.
Yeah.
That's anti-Messiah in its very definition. So I think we got to be really careful to be so quick to say I'm against Torah. But anyways, just going back and trying to understand after you come to Torah, trying to understand the New Testament, and there's some great things in there, because the Torah becomes so rich that the New Testament's almost watered down to you. After you go to Torah, you're like, oh my goodness, like New Testament's just kind of like it's milk, But anyways, going back to the Book of the Order of the Ancients and reading about the Melchizedek priesthood, the order of the firstborn, and reading about what it was supposed to be, the laws and the rules for them, it makes so much more sense with the New Testament. It almost, it's incredible because I look at Acts now, and I see that, hey, I think Yeshua was teaching them, well, I know this, he was teaching them the priesthood, priesthood that he was a part of, the Melchizedek priesthood. The same thing that Elijah wrote about in this book.
Right.
And it just makes so much more sense. He didn't just make it up. It was always there.
Right.
It was
Where
always,
did it come from?
Yeah, it's always existed. It was the order of the firstborn. But, you have your Levitical priesthood. You have two priesthoods, if I'm not mistaken that they are one and the same. But the Melchizedek priesthood, the law, there are I think I counted like 12 or 14 laws for it to be a part of the order. And half of them are...
The Melchizedek order.
Yes, and half of them are to follow Torah. It's all Torah. You have to follow the instructions of the Father. If you don't, you're not set apart. You are a Gentile, heathen. And I don't want to be a heathen.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our Messiah, died on the cross so we can have atonement to the Father and actually be considered set apart and worthy.
Right.
But anyways, what I wanted to read was from the Writings of Abraham. This is the second book of Writings of Abraham, chapter 141, verse 6. And it says, "Therefore do all things, whether they be good or evil, work together for good of the saints of Elohim who serve him and keep his commandments."
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's why I love that, because it is a direct quote. Paul quotes this directly in Romans 8:28. All things work together for good to them that love God and according to his, called according to his
Purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's literally right here written in the Writings of Abraham, and I mean, I believe that Paul possibly knew this.
Right.
He read this book.
Right.
I mean, he quoted it directly, and some of the things that Paul writes are hard to understand. I think if you really want to understand Paul, you gotta just, as the late Rob Skiba wrote and used to say, if you want to understand Paul, you have to understand what Paul read.
Amen.
So if you want to know what he's saying, you've got to understand what he read.
He wasn't reading his own writings. He wasn't reading the writings of the...
No, he's just basically quoting the Torah the whole time, the Psalms, the Torah, and the prophets.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you have the scriptures version, and there's just constantly like things he's quoting, from the Tanakh.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Things that growing up, just growing up, and not even just growing up, but even 4 years ago, and, really coming out of Christianity and starting to, appreciate and love and come back to the Torah and the prophets and the ancient path, you start reading things and you're like, where have I read this before? And then I'm like, oh, Paul wrote that. Wait a minute. Paul wasn't the originator of that, though.
No.
Paul was regurgitating, and he was maybe saying it a little differently, or maybe he was quoting it directly.
Yeah, but I have found... I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
I interrupted you. Go ahead.
But it's just, that's been kind of an aha, too, because I think we've been so indoctrinated with Paul's writings in our whole lives. And I say that because I do believe that it was indoctrination into maybe... I don't want to say that he started his own religion by any stretch, but it does feel like so much of what we read and even what I memorized was primarily Paul.
Yeah,
in
me too.
school, in our Christian school that I grew up in. I was there 16 years and started memorizing scripture at a young age. And
Yeah, we grew up together in the same school.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
most of what we memorized was Paul.
Yeah.
There was the occasional Psalms and the occasional, even I think I memorized more of Paul's words than I did Yeshua's words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being honest. I think there were some of his words and, John 3:16 and that sort of thing, but so much of Romans and Philippians and Corinthians and Galatians and Ephesians. And I'm sorry, I just digressed a little bit, but still, I think that's been amazing. And that just coming back full circle to what you just read in the writings of Abraham and how I think the important difference in that, though, is, can you pull that back up? I think the important difference in the significance of what was written is it's specifically saying commandments. Whether they be good or evil, everything works together for the good of the saints of Yahuwah who serve him and keep his commandments. And so I think that's a significant difference.
I could be mistaken by saying this, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, the writings of Abraham were in the Qumran text.
I don't know.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
I sound like you said cumin, so...
Cumin, yes.
Qumran.
Qumran, yeah. Qumran cave. So I think they were part of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Someone would know this better. Which would predate what Paul wrote.
Yeah.
So that means Paul
definitely
either
would have
led
read
by
it.
the Ruach or probably, most probably had read this before.
Yeah.
And it was widely known. And this wasn't the first verse I found. There was many others in here.
Yeah.
Which were just incredible. I mean, this book blew my mind. This absolutely changed the way I think about so many things because it opened. And it was just the same thing when we read Jasher, when we read the Book of Adam and Eve, when we read Enoch, like things like that. Those blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like totally changed everything. And it really is. The truth is stranger than fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. It's like the more I find out, I'm like, man, this is like the best group of books that has ever been written. Is so full of such depth.
Yeah.
It's so many amazing things. Like, how do people not read this?
Mm-hmm.
We Christians own this book. They have it in their house, and they refuse to read half of it.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
It
I
is.
can't imagine not knowing Torah.
I know.
And not having it in our lives. Once you know it and once you see it, you cannot not see it.
Right. You can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it. It's in like every single, it's
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's just like
every single book Torah is mentioned.
Yeah. It's kind of like a bad movie, or you hear a word you're never supposed to hear. You can't unhear it. You can't unsee it, but in a good way,
Yeah. I mean,
like
you can't, it changes your whole perspective on the word of Elohim because it is the word of Elohim.
Right.
And when you know the word of Elohim, you know Messiah.
Yeah.
I don't think, if you don't believe in Torah, and you don't try to keep the commandments of Elohim, how do you possibly know who Messiah is?
Yeah.
He tells you that, by the way, in Matthew 7.
Right.
You didn't know me.
Yeah.
Get away from me. You didn't even know me.
Yeah.
And to know Yah is to keep his commandments.
Yeah.
1 John 2:3.
I just want to say one more thing about Paul because...
Say it, baby.
Well, I mean, so I just look and I see things. The scriptures just point out some very... the scriptures, the Bible version.
By the way, real quick, the jury is still out on Paul, for at least me.
For what? Jury on
Whether or
what?
not he's a false prophet or not. Okay, we're testing him, and as we should. We should test him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we shouldn't. The only reason he's in the Bible is because the Catholic Church said so.
Yeah, well, and here's what, I think here's where,
But go ahead,
most
what you're
Christians,
saying. I
well,
interrupted
to that
you.
point, I think this is where it becomes confusing for me, all right? So the more I read Paul, the more confused I am by Paul. Whereas I would have thought I knew Paul, and I knew Paul's writings.
Yeah, as a Christian,
I would
you know
have,
it.
Yeah, and I can't say that now. I really can't now that I have Yah's instruction as my foundation, which it should be, and Yah's instruction as my guide, and everything else should either support it or complement it or stand it up.
Yeah.
But
And Yah's instruction, it's his word. It's when he actually spoke.
to
when
the
it
prophets,
says,
or the word became the word of Yahuwah.
Yeah, the
right?
word of Yahuwah came to the prophets.
Yeah.
Every prophet, it's the word of Yahuwah came to Hosea. The word of the Yahuwah came to Habakkuk,
Yeah.
And even when Yahuwah is on top of the mountain speaking to the people, speaking to Moses, and the mountain's burning and floating in the air, and the people are like telling Moses, hey, get this guy to be quiet. He's going to kill us.
Yeah.
Because he was giving forth the law, reintroducing the law to the people.
Right.
And that was the word.
Yeah.
That's his actual word. So here comes Paul, and he doesn't say the word of the Lord came to Paul.
Yeah.
The word of the Lord came here. There's one, I think, time in 1 Corinthians, and he said, this is by the word of the Lord.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So we need to test him. The only reason he's in the Bible, and we make this Bible like it's like this holy book. Yeah, there are holy writings in it. But we need to make sure that the only reason it is a group of book called holy is because it was called that by the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
In the Council of Nicaea. So they were set forth as being, okay, these are the books.
The holy writings.
These are the holy writings. Everything else is heresy.
Yeah.
Which,
if the Catholic Church is telling us that,
yeah,
and we're letting them become the authority, then there's a problem.
Yeah, and by the way, in the 1800s, 1828, somewhere around there, the Protestants got rid of extra books, got rid of like 14 other books, made 66 books of the Bible with 6 different sections. Yeah. 666. That's what the Protestants did. So it's not all Roman Catholics.
Yeah.
But it is the Christians.
Yeah.
It's the people who profess to be Christians. And by the way, really, if you haven't looked into the history of Christianity and why it is even placed in the Bible, there's a couple of places where it's at. The original followers were the Nazarene. Yeah. By the way, Paul was a Nazarene, the ringleader of Nazarene.
Which is what?
Acts.
What's Nazarene?
Nazarene is, well, you just asked me. No.
I'm sorry.
It's like, I think it means the branch, but it's described throughout history as the people who they act like Jews, but they aren't.
Yeah.
They believe in Messiah, but at the same time keep the Jewish law.
Right.
And this is written by Gentiles, right, talking about Jews, right, and Greek and things like that. It's the same kind of language that Paul uses when we know that the Torah wasn't some Jewish law.
Right.
Leviticus 23 tells you, it says, these are my ways, these are my Sabbaths, my feast days.
Yeah.
Yahuwah's telling us that.
Yeah.
He shared his own, his word. Yeah. It's his word. He shared it with us. Mm-hmm. He shared the law of the kingdom with us so that we can follow it. And then he gave us the king of the kingdom so that we can follow him. Yeah. They're one and the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yah does not change and Yah does not lie.
Right. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
I got off on that tangent.
It's okay. But, so I think we're in Genesis 4.
I feel like you were going to say something.
I was, but it's okay. I think we've talked enough about Paul. I feel like we talk about Paul every time we get on here. And
Shaul.
But I think we want to, maybe we could jump in and start reading Genesis 4.
Yeah. Genesis 4. Okay. And this is from the Targum, if you just started listening to this one right here.
Yes.
And Adam knew Chava, his wife, who had desired the angel, and she conceived and bare Cain. And she said, I have acquired a man, the angel of Yahuwah. And she added to bear from her husband Adam, his twin, even Habel. And Habel was a shepherd of the flock, but Cain was a man working in the earth. Okay, that's the end of verse 2. But let's go back to the first verse that says that she desired the angel. Yeah. So it's I won't say that's removed, but that is not in my text. So what is that even talking about? Adam knew Chava, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, but sandwiched in between, those phrases is she desired the angel. Yeah. So what does that mean? Or what do you think it means? I think it is serpent seed. I think that the more you read into extra biblical stuff, you find that there is 2 seeds here. There is the seed of the serpent, which would have been Hasatan. Mm-hmm. The seed of the serpent, which still exists, by the way, which Yah has had mercy on the seed of the serpent, just so that at the very end, his own only begotten son, the Messiah, can destroy him, kill him on Mount Zion, and bury him. well, kill him in Israel. I might be wrong about Mount Zion, but
Yeah.
kill him in Israel, and he gets buried in Israel. So he has saved him. He saved him through the flood, through Noah's. Well, it's through Cain. I mean, not through Cain. Help me out. Japheth, Shem, and what's the other
Ham.
one? Ham. Through Ham.
Yeah.
The seed is still there, but I think it was through his mom. So it was through the other wife of Noah, who I don't think came on the ark, but it was Ham's mom, but not Noah's wife who came with him on the ark.
Yeah.
But she was if I'm not mistaken, she was related to Nimrod.
But this serpent seed then.
Not Nimrod. Never mind.
It's okay. Well, I guess my question is, so this serpent seed was a. I mean, is that kind of, what am I trying to say? Cain, right?
Yeah.
Because you think about Cain and Abel.
Yeah. Somehow.
Was that part
somehow
of
Eve
bearing?
Yeah.
Cain?
Somehow Eve did conceive through the angel.
Yeah.
Through the spirit of the angel, or whatever. However it happened, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's more to it than that. There's more written in there, and she did bear a seed. It's my belief that she did bear a seed of Satan.
Yeah.
Which was Cain.
Because he was the first. He committed the first murder. Right?
Yeah, he was a murderer from the beginning, right? Yeshua
Yeah.
says that. Mm-hmm. Your father, which was a murderer from the beginning.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if he's talking about Cain, but
he was.
That's a hard subject because people
Yeah.
don't believe that, and I was never taught that.
Right.
And I'm still kind of like, on the fence with it just because it's kind of crazy, but you see throughout history there was a seed maintained from Cain.
Yeah.
There's always been this evil seed, and then there's like the clean seed that Yah has tried to set apart for himself.
Right. Well, and he didn't create. We know it didn't come from Adam. He didn't create Adam with an evil seed, right?
Yeah, all things were good when he created, right?
Right. So.
Yeah, he sinned.
Yeah.
But
that's
it's interesting. So,
okay.
All right.
Keep going. So verse 3.
And it was at the end of days on the 14th of Nisan. So this is Passover.
Okay, that's not in here.
Passover in
First Passover.
First Passover, yeah. Which we know Passover is eternal. It was already in heaven. The angels were already doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Or this might have been their first one. I don't know. So a lot of these, I know it mentions a lot of the months, because it calls this one Nisan.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a month of Tammuz. So these are the Babylonian months. If I'm not mistaken, this was written coming out of Babylon, when they were released out of Babylon, coming back out and having to retranslate the Torah. And this the Targum would have been the first translation coming out. So that's why some of you're going to have Nisan is, a god. So it would be Tammuz. There were gods that were worshipped in Babylon. All right. And it was at the end of days on the 14th of Nisan that Cain brought of the produce of the earth the seed of cotton, an oblation of first things before Yahweh.
Seed of cotton.
That's interesting. And Habel brought of the firstlings of the flock and of their fat, and it was pleasing before Yahweh. And he gave his countenance to Habel and to his oblation, but to Cain and to his oblation he gave no countenance. And Cain was angered greatly, and the features of his face were downcast. And Yahuwah said to Cain, Why hast thou anger, and why are the features of thy face downcast? If thou dost thy work well, will not thy guilt be forgiven thee? But if thou dost not thy work well in this world, thy sin is retained unto the day of the great judgment. And at the doors, that's deep.
Wow.
And at the door, where was I? Okay. And at the doors of thy heart lieth thy sin. And into thy hand have I delivered the power over evil passion, and unto thee shall be the inclination thereof, that thou mayest have authority over it, to become righteous or to sin. So this is interesting. So Cain was given the authority, the power over...
To decide.
evil things. Yeah,
Right.
he was given evil passion within himself.
Yeah.
And the inclination to sin. So a deep inclination, probably what we all have right today.
Right.
He was given that ability to become righteous or to sin. So, and
He was
Abel,
given the choice to make.
Yeah, and they were all given choices, but there was probably more of a righteous inclination within Adam and Abel.
Right.
And Eve.
Yeah.
Even though they did sin, but it
And was
sounds like
that
Cain
given-
was just born right into it, just like we have been.
And that would make sense then if he was, born of the serpent seed.
Yeah, you see the serpent, yeah.
So,
And Cain said to Abel his brother, "Come, and let us two go forth into the field." And it was that when they two had gone forth into the field, Cain answered and said to Abel, "I perceive that the world was created in goodness, but it is not governed or conducted according to the fruit of good works. For there is respect to persons in judgment. Therefore it is that thy offering was accepted, and mine not accepted with good will." Abel answered and said to Cain, "In goodness was the world created, and according to the fruit of good works it is governed. And there is no respect of persons in judgment. But because the fruits of my works were better than thine, my oblation before thine hath been accepted with good will." Cain answered and said to Abel, "There is neither judgment nor judge, nor another world, nor will good reward be given to the righteous, nor vengeance be taken of the wicked." And I wrote here, this is exactly what the world teaches.
Yeah.
He's saying there is no judge. There is no judgment. There's no God. There's no law to be judged by.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reward for following the law.
For good works.
For good works, yeah. It says there's no given to the righteous. And there's no vengeance to be taken upon the wicked. Do as thou wilt.
Yeah.
That's the whole, saying of the church of Satan.
Yeah.
Do as thou wilt.
Yeah. Well, and I think this whole conversation is missing. I don't think. This whole conversation is missing, from...
Yeah, from the regular.
Well, what's fascinating, and so Genesis 4 is where we're at, verse 8, and Cain told Abel, his brother, period. And then the next sentence says, "And it came to be when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him." So we definitely know that there's something missing between... And Cain told... Abel, his brother, because right before that, Yahuwah was speaking to Cain. And from that point to the point of which he was killed, there was some conversation that was had. So the reader is left. There's got to be a conversation. I'm sure there was some conversation. They didn't just walk out into the field. I mean, that could have happened, but we know by this one sentence that Cain told Abel something, and he did. Let's go forth into the field. And, they basically had some conversations, about their offerings and the fact that his wasn't accepted and that Abel's was. And it's amazing because you just like hearing this conversation, Abel is talking to Cain and saying the world was created with goodness. Like y'all created this world for good, and according to the fruit of good works, it's governed. So basically, if you're going to give if you're not going to give him your best, of the fruit of your labor, the fruit of your harvest, you're going to give him what's left over, which is kind of what he did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be accepted because, there's no, what does he say? There's no respect of persons in judgment, but because the fruits of his works were better, they've been accepted with goodwill, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure. We talk about goodwill in the world. I don't know what goodwill means biblically. Like Yah accepted his offering with goodwill, like maybe with earnesty or like with
just as it was good.
Yeah,
accepted it because it was good.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, this conversation they're having is not unlike anything what we have today.
Yeah,
with others that are not under covenant.
Right.
It's like there's no judge. You're not going to be judged by the Torah.
Yeah.
Why be righteous?
You're saved by grace.
Yeah.
You're going to heaven.
there's not a reward for following Torah. I mean, that's exactly what Cain just said.
Yeah.
There's no reward for being righteous.
Yeah.
And righteousness is of the Torah.
And because you're saved by grace, there's not going to be, you can go on and do how you want to do.
Do as I will.
Do you,
Do you?
And there won't be vengeance taken.
Yeah.
It's scary.
All right.
So read that again. So and Abel answered and said, "Did you read this part? Oh, you haven't read it. Never mind."
I don't think so.
So Cain basically said to him, there's neither judgment nor judge, and there's not another world.
I did read this.
You read that? Okay, would you read it again? I'm sorry.
And Abel answered and
because
said
this is
to
his
Cain,
last words.
I think. Yeah, there is a judgment, and there is a judge, and there is another world, and a good reward given to the righteous, and vengeance taken of the wicked. And because of these words, they had contention upon the face of the field, and Cain arose against Abel his brother, and drave a stone into his forehead, and killed him.
Wow.
And Yahuwah said to Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I the keeper of my brother? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of the bloods of the murder of thy brother, which are swallowed up in the sod, crieth before me from the earth. And now because thou hast killed him, thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened the mouth, and received the blood of thy brother from thy land. When thou tillest the earth, it shall not add to give strength to its fruits for thee. A wonder and an exile shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said before Yahweh, More heavy is my rebellion than can be borne away. Yet is there power before thee to forgive it. So he's asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Behold, thou hast cast me forth today from the face of the earth, and from before thee is it possible to be hidden. And because I am a wonder and an exile on the earth, any just one who findeth me will kill me. And Yahuwah said to him, Behold now, any one who killeth Cain, unto 7 generations, vengeance shall be taken of him. And Yahuwah sealed upon the face of Cain the mark of the name of the great and honorable, that anyone who might find him should not kill him when he saw it upon him.
This is amazing.
Yeah, this is the mercy, patience, and grace of Elohim.
Yeah, this is
He
the
killed
mercy. This is the love.
Abel. He just committed the first murder.
And he repented, though. That's what I hear, right? That's what I'm reading.
Asked for forgiveness and mercy. And so Yah put the mark of Yahuwah upon the mark of the great and honorable upon his face.
Wow. It's amazing. I don't know why, but this story is like just hitting me. Because I think about our boys, especially Gray and Jack, and just how close they are. And, it makes me wonder, because we don't know much about, just maybe there's more. I can't remember in the book of Adam and Eve about Cain and Abel, whether they were close. And, because you think, how in the world could you, murder your brother, your family? Yeah. And it just hits me to my core, like how, it was just one light and dark, right?
Yeah.
Good and evil.
Yeah, they were. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I don't know what I was going to say. Go ahead. When you interrupt me, I forget my thoughts. So it's okay. I'm not mad.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I know. This is real, and this is raw, and this is not going to be edited.
I just got in trouble.
You did not get in trouble. No, I don't mean when you interrupt me, I forget. I just I don't really know what I'm saying anyways. So.
Yeah, you do.
It's just this story is hitting me differently, maybe because I have sons, and and he, that the Torah was upon them, and they knew not to murder. It wasn't like this was I assume they did.
Yeah.
The instructions are within them, right?
Yeah.
Because they sinned, right? We know they weren't blameless once they left the garden. So, but there's just so much that we don't know about the background and the family of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Mm-hmm. Just the 4 of them. They're the only, as far as I understand, they're the only 4 on the earth making a life together, tilling the ground, raising livestock. They're working the land. Mm-hmm. They're living off the land. And then they have their first Passover, and then they present their offerings, and one is accepted, one isn't. And it's just, I don't know. This definitely, when I hear the conversation between the 2 of them, it's kind of like they're just arguing.
Yeah.
It's just an argument that turned south.
Well, it's interesting. They're both bringing forth oblations to Yah. Yeah. Both of them are trying to bring forth a sacrifice to Yah, something pleasing to him. But one is offering strange fire. Yes. While the other is offering according to the commandments, according to what he's supposed to be doing. Yeah. And that's exactly what we see with Christianity today. Mm-hmm. They're offering strange fire. If you, we've been to so many Easter services and Christmas services, and and really, honestly, sometimes that feel like we feel the Spirit there. Mm-hmm. Feel like it's Spirit filled. Like I remember one time we were sitting in church and you and I were singing. This was for like a Christmas service, like a candlelight.
It was a candlelight service.
Yeah, and we're sitting there and we're just singing all these Christmas carols in church, and I remember like being in tears.
Yeah.
Like feeling like, praising Yah.
Yeah.
Of course, he winks at our ignorance, right?
Honoring him with our lips, truly.
Yeah, but our heart is far from him. Yeah, right? So, we were ignorant.
Yeah.
We didn't know better, but we were offering strange fire. We didn't even realize we were serving a pagan god.
Yeah.
We were serving in a pagan way. It's the exact same thing as the golden calf.
Yeah.
We made a golden calf and said, this is the Lord.
Yeah.
Basically, we created Christmas and created all these holy days to serve him. And he's like, hey, I didn't tell you to do this. Why are you doing it this way? I gave you 7 holy days.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of, we're almost seeing that with Abel and Cain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good.
Abel's doing it in the way he was supposed to. And Cain was just kind of like just doing the best he knew how, his way.
Yeah. That's good.
All right. And Cain, you want to keep reading?
Yes.
And Cain went out from before Yahweh and dwelt in the land of the wandering of his exile, which had been made for him from before, as the Garden of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Hanok. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Hanok. So this is Enoch. This is another Enoch. Mm-hmm. So just as you go through Genesis, there's almost like the 2 seeds name the same names. There's 2 Enochs, 2 Lamechs, and 2, Mahalalels.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 of most of them. They're kind of all the same. It's interesting. What was I? There was Enoch. Well, where am I?
I'm in verse 17.
So.
Okay, 18. Yeah.
And there was born unto Hanok Arad, and Arad begat Mahuel, and Mahuel begat Methuselah, and Methuselah begat Lamech, and Lamech took to him 2 wives. The name of the first Ada, and the name of the second Zillah, and Ada bore Havel. He was the chief rab of all those who dwell in tents,
that's
and are
interesting.
masters of cattle. And the name of his brother was Huvel. He was chief rab of all those who take part in song with the lyre and the pipe. And Zillah bare also Tubal-Cain. This is Tubal-Cain.
This is Tubal-Cain.
And chief rab.
He's a blacksmith.
Is that what he is?
Go ahead, sorry.
Chief rab of all artificers who know the workmanship of brass and iron.
Yeah.
And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Mm-hmm. She was mistress of elegies and songs. Elegies and songs?
What is that?
I don't know, like psalms maybe? Or like, I don't know.
Poems
raps?
Or raps?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is
so they were each given a gift, basically. They were, there were some things they did here, but so when you read Jasher, is it Jasher that talks more
Book
about
of Adam and Eve?
Book of Adam and Eve,
Second Book of Adam and Eve. I think it is.
I remember reading this somewhere else.
This is the seed of Satan, basically. The seed of Cain that's gotten kicked off the mountain.
Yeah.
And if you read the Book of Adam and Eve, you kind of see that, okay, they were down there basically having parties and orgies and having all kinds of music. They were basically the world we know. Yeah, it's basically the world we know it as today.
Yeah.
They were, had all kinds of, I don't know, singing and rock stars and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And basically the good old boys up on the mountain were looking down and kind of lusting after them, wishing they could be down there.
Yeah.
And
who were the good old boys? You mean like Abel?
Well, like Abel, Jared, Seth.
Yeah, the rest of Adam's family.
The rest of Adam's family as they started, multiplying. Yeah. And I think Jared was the first to leave.
And joined Cain and his...
Yeah, but I think he eventually tried to come back or ask for forgiveness.
That'd be interesting to bring in while we're in the Targum and the Scriptures, but to also Might as well just
Yeah.
bring in the book of Adam and Eve and
Yeah.
share any insights or anything that we've read from that too, maybe
Mm-hmm.
as we're going forward, if we see anything. We're reading this real time. It's not like I mean, maybe we should be studying this, but this is our Shabbat study. So
Yeah.
there's not any like prep work that's going into this. We're
Yeah,
literally
we're just
reading it.
right now, yeah. And we've read this before,
Yeah.
and we have read Book of Adam and Eve and Jasher and Jubilees, and all these have insight, especially Enoch is all during this time.
Yeah.
But the Book of Adam and Eve talks about Jared basically goes down. Well, a lot of the children of Adam went down, and just because they wanted to, participate in the fornication and the. I mean, it's like you said, it sounds nice, and they learned to play music, and they were working iron
They're
and
dwelling in tents.
brass, yeah, and
and working with livestock.
yeah, and basically Adam and Seth and Eve and his descendants, the good guys, are like up on this mountain eating herbs and fruit. I think all they ate was fruit. They didn't till or anything, which was interesting. All they ate was fruit, and
That is interesting.
and they dwelt there because they could still smell the sweet smell of the garden. When the wind would blow, they could smell the Garden of Eden. They weren't allowed to go there, but they could still smell it. And they just desired it. I mean, think about Adam. He lived there. And when you read the book of Adam and Eve, you see that he absolutely hated his life outside the garden.
Yeah.
Like, died multiple times and kept being
Killed
brought
himself,
back. Yeah,
right?
killed himself.
Yeah.
Kept being brought back to life. And Yah's like, hey, just keep going. You're in 5.5 days, I'm going to save you.
Yeah.
Which ends up being 5,500 years.
Well, so Abel was a shepherd, right?
Yeah.
Did they? But you said they only ate the herbs of the ground. So were they just that? They didn't actually harvest their.
I don't think they ate meat. No,
They
because
ate-
I think
okay.
that was after the flood.
Okay.
When they
That's
started. Now, I
interesting.
don't know about I would say the children of Cain probably did.
Yeah.
But during this time, Jared decides to go down.
Okay. Yeah.
Go down off the mountain, and he is deceived by Hasatan, by Satan. Basically, Satan comes with him, with a bunch of his other angels, and this is after the incursion. The Watchers came down. So basically, Satan comes down with all the Watchers and is being like, "Hey, look at us!" And they got women. They have all these women all around them, and they're like, "You can have them too. Just come off the mountain and come
Join
down
us.
here." Yeah, basically, and he's like,
Join our
"Okay."
cult.
Yeah, he's like, "Okay." So there was like 2 incursions. There was like the Watchers and Jared.
Yeah.
And the sons of Elohim that came down there. They all came down there and started mingling with the seed of Cain. And this basically ultimately brings on the flood.
Yeah.
But it's
the
interesting.
precursor. It's kind of the
Yeah.
catalyst, or the catalyst, really.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
is where the book of Enoch takes over, and you can just, he gives such great detail on what actually happened.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Here it says, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. She was the mistress of elegies and songs. I don't know what that, elegies and songs.
I'll have to look it up.
Elegies, I don't know.
Yeah.
But she is the wife of Noah. If I'm not mistaken, she
Oh.
repented and didn't want to be part of everything that was going on with the children of Cain. And she wanted to be, she followed the commandments.
Yeah.
She seeked the commandments and asked for repentance.
Go ahead. Keep talking. Can I see your phone? I'm going to pull up what elegies is.
Okay.
You keep talking, though. She repented and wanted no
She
part of it.
repented and didn't want any part of it. And Yah had mercy on her. And she was allowed to go on the ark.
And you read this where? Where is this part of Naamah?
This is Writings of Abraham.
Ah, elegies are poems of serious reflection, typically laments for the dead.
Oh, she was the first poet.
And didn't know it.
And didn't know it. The first poet. Let me see if I can find this in here.
Yeah, we're almost
sorry.
finished. Well, we're almost finished.
Yeah, we are almost finished. Sorry, like we said, we're just kind of doing this on the fly. We haven't looked any of this stuff up. We're just kind of reading it.
We've read it before, but kind of pulling it all together, I think, tells such a more complete story.
Yeah, I don't know where it's at, but there's Noah.
Should be right
Abraham
before
builds
that.
the Melchizedek priesthood, preaches gospel. Nimrod.
What? The gospel
okay.
was preached before
Yes, and by the way, that's in Hebrews, that's in Romans, that's in so many places. The gospel has been around.
The good news of the
I
kingdom.
don't know, for the beginning of time.
Yeah.
The good news of the kingdom, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just something brand new.
Yeah.
And that's in the New Testament. It's hidden. That's why you have to have the light to see some of those things.
Okay, keep going. Yeah, you're in Noah, Shem, flood.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the flood. Perished in the flood. It's a piece of, let's see.
Nema.
There we are. So this is from the writings of Abraham, the first writings of Abraham, chapter 14. Did it say her name? Okay. Yes. Thus did Nema come to dwell among the sons of Adam. Okay, so...
Go back, yeah.
We'll go back. Tubal came prayer. He slew him and revealed his murders.
When Nema was yet a child?
All right, so let's read this. Chapter 13 in the writings of Abraham. This
Okay.
is the first book of writings of Abraham, chapter 13.
Digressing to learn a little bit more about Nema.
Mm-hmm.
And Nema was the sister of Tubal Cain.
Tubal Cain, the sister, yeah. Tubal Cain, yeah. When Nema was yet a child, a great consternation fell upon the seed of Cain. For Irad, the son of Enoch, the son of Cain, had become a member of the secret combination, and was privy to all its secrets, until one night, when Yahuwah appeared to him in a dream, saying, Irad, thou hast done evil instead of good, and hast followed after Hasatan rather than Elohim. Wherefore I shall destroy thee and thine house when I send in the floods upon the earth. But Irad was pricked in his heart, and pled with Yahuwah to show mercy and preserve his seed through the great flood. Seeing that his penitence was true, Yahuwah said to him, Irad, if thou wilt repent and reveal the evils of the secret combination to the sons of Seth, I will have mercy upon thee, and I will join thy seed into the seed of Seth, that it may be preserved through the great flood. And this is interesting. I wrote seed of Cain grafted in through repentance. Mm-hmm. So you had the heathen being grafted in by the repentance. This is a promise of Elohim. Mm-hmm. Wherefore, Irad went forth and began to reveal the secrets of the sons of Cain unto the sons of Seth. Lamech being master Mahon, which is this is such a deeper subject. We could go into being with Freemasonry. At the time, found Irad sitting in his garden with Joram, the young son of Irad, and slew him. Mm-hmm. Thus Lamech slew Irad for the sake of the oath of the secret combination, and he slew Irad's son with him.
So let me pause there, because the next verse, in verse 23 in chapter 4 of Genesis, says, And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, listen to my words. For I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. So is that talking about him?
Yeah. Sounds like he killed Irad.
Yeah. And Irad's
son.
Okay. So, yeah. So he killed a man and a young man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just think that is so fascinating that we know who this is, and we know...
So Lamech killed him because he revealed the secret combinations, right?
Yes.
Began to reveal the secret of the sons of Cain unto the sons of Seth. So he was obeying Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And so this is the evil Lamech,
yeah.
I assume. Slew Irad and his son. But Tubal Cain, the son of Lamech, had followed him and viewed his evil deed, which he had committed, and he revealed it unto his mother Zillah, and she unto her sister Ada. Wherefore Ada and Zillah confronted Lamech with his evil, and cursed him in the name of Yahuwah for having slain Irad, who had repented of his wickedness from among the sons of man. By the way, they're still talking to Yah. This is the seed of Cain still talking to Yah.
Yeah.
And cursing in the name of Yah. They knew who he was. Mm-hmm. They still knew him, but but serving him the wrong way.
Right.
And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. That's exactly what you just read.
Yeah.
If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech shall be 70 and sevenfold.
That's verse 24.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Lamech's wives therefore feared to confront him further, but Lamech repented not of his evil deeds, and finding his son Tubal Cain at prayer, he slew him for having revealed his murders. Wow, so Lamech killed his own son.
Wow.
Finding his son. Right? Oh, that's Lamech's son. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Lamech killed his own son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. Slew him for having revealed his murders. When Ada and Zillah, the wives of Lamech, learned of this, they took their remaining sons and daughters and went unto their father Canaan's city, and revealed the remainder of the secrets of this evil combination among the sons of Adam. Thus did Naamah come to dwell among the sons of Adam, and she grew up before Yahweh in righteousness, and was known for her tender care toward the sick and unfortunate.
Wow.
Nevertheless, she had not husband before she was of...
Because she was of...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Because she was of the forbidden race. So she's living with the sons of Adam, but she was of the forbidden race. So
she couldn't marry.
They were told, hey, don't marry these people. When the word of Yahuwah came unto Noah, saying, take unto thyself Naamah, the daughter of Lamech, who dwelleth here in the city of thy fathers, for she hath been faithful to my gospel. Wherefore I shall preserve through her the seed of Cain through the flood. Noah went unto his father Methuselah, and Methuselah inquired of Yahweh, and returned this word unto his son Lamech. So these are the good Lamech and the good Methuselah. Verily, thus saith Yahweh, mine handmaiden Naamah have I given unto my son Noah, that the seed of Cain might be preserved through the great flood, which I will send upon the earth.
Wow. So the seed of Cain was preserved through Naamah.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. It was preserved through the flood. And Yah had mercy on the seed of Cain from one man.
Yeah.
One man.
And we have learned
Irad,
about that.
Right? Irad, it's verse 2. Irad was pricked in his heart and pled with Yahweh to show mercy and preserve his seed through the great flood.
That's amazing.
So Irad just was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
He repented. Then he was killed. He was murdered.
Yeah.
But Yah kept his promise to him.
Yeah.
Yah said he commanded him, go tell the secret combination. He did.
Yeah.
Is his granddaughter? I don't know who this is. If this is his granddaughter, it's someone from his seed.
Naamah?
Yeah, Naamah.
So, Irad had Mahulalel, who had Methuselah, who had Lamech. So, Irad had a son, Mahulalel. The Methuselah would be the grandson. Then Lamech would have been the great-grandson. And then Naamah came from Lamech, right?
Yeah.
So, great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me read the rest of this. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Wherefore, was it still writings of Abraham? Wherefore, let not my son Noah fear to take her to wife, for in so doing he shall be blessed, for through him will come all nations. Wherefore, say unto him, Noah, my son, I have looked upon the evils of the sons of men, which have come up before me, for they have corrupted the whole earth, save only the city in which thou dwellest. Therefore I will send in the floods upon the earth, but thou and thy seed will I preserve through the flood. For I will send mine angels to instruct thee in the building of an ark, wherein ye shall be saved. Behold, I shall establish thy seed before me forever, and I will spread them abroad over the earth, as numerous as the sand upon the seashore. Wow, it sounds just like the covenant with Abraham. Mm-hmm. Thy seed shall not cease as long as the earth shall stand, but through thee and thy priesthood, which will be preserved in thy seed, shall all nations be blessed.
Well, how about full circle on the priesthood?
Beautiful, right? I mean, Yah is still merciful and still, he wants to bless all nations. He wants to bring all nations back. Even the seed of Cain, back.
Yeah. That's amazing.
If we would just follow him.
Yeah.
If we would just come under
follow
covenant.
his ways, not ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's beautiful. I think the last couple of verses.
I think we basically just read this.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last part is just where they had Seth. Right here.
Oh, right here. And Adam knew his wife again, and at the end, this is back on the Targum. And Adam knew his wife again at the end of 130 years after Abel had been slain, and she bare a son and called his name Seth. For she said, The Lord hath given me another son instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth also was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. That was the generation in whose days they began to err, and to make themselves idols, and surnamed their idols by the name of the word of Yahuwah. So they made idols and called it the word of Yahuwah.
Wow.
They made their own word of Yahuwah. Sounds very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Things have not changed. Like, it's exactly what Solomon wrote, right?
Right.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
They're still they made a whole name up for the word of Yahuwah.
Yeah.
All right. 54 minutes. I thought this was going to be a short one, too. We ended up reading.
No, they're just getting longer.
Yeah, they're just getting longer.
Can you imagine when we get to a really long chapter? Maybe one of these chapters, though, coming up that's got the begats.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to even be in Genesis, though. Yeah. There is.
There, yeah. But that's that's
Chapter
really
10.
cool, though, too.
Yeah. Chapter 10
Because
is
remember
going to
the
be...
meanings. The meanings of the names.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the whole... It's like everything. The whole story of the Bible in Genesis 6. Is that Genesis 6?
Well, that's... yeah, that was...
Or Genesis 5?
I think it's Genesis 5. Mm-hmm. So we should go through that. I have that in my other Bible, too. We should bring that out and discuss that. That's going to be fun.
Oh,
that'll be next week.
Praise Yah. What a beautiful Shabbat.
Amen.
It's been awesome.
It has been surprisingly nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you stuck with us for this whole 55 minutes, we appreciate it. Thank you for listening, and thank you for... This isn't about us. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to bring subscribers or likes or whatever to any of this.
That sounded like a rat trap.
I don't know. But we have a mouse downstairs, so we're waiting for the trap to go off.
Sorry.
Yeah, sidebar. That was
I'm sorry.
No, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Anyways, thank y'all. I hope. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just don't want to. This isn't about us. We're not even trying to. We don't want to be famous.
We're encouraging people to open Scripture.
Yeah.
And not just open up. I mean, yes, absolutely. Like this is my Bible, my book, of the 66 is what I read every single day, or try to read every single day. But there is such richness and beauty, and once you've seen the lies of the world, and it starts. What did you say? You were saying that today about how those things start to kind of crumble, the pillars of what you thought.
Indoctrination.
Yeah, of indoctrination, and then it just leads you to start reading the Bible differently.
It humbles you.
It humbles you, but you start to see that maybe there's more books out there than this. And so I think that was just been all of, the reason why we've just had a passion to just start in Genesis. And then I desired to have the Targum and read it side by side, because these are my favorite. These are the books that I love to read. Mm-hmm. I don't like reading fiction.
Yeah.
I want to read, and obviously we want to test it. But, and we are testing it, but I think that there is just, like I said, there's such beauty in reading these books that complement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there something else that you wanted to share?
Just really quick, you were talking about these extra books given to us, and Enoch being one of those extra books. And this is just amazing, because it's Enoch 104. It's talking about, in the end, his words will be translated to everyone, which just so happens I think there's 4 versions of Enoch in the Qumran text.
Yeah.
So this is Enoch 104:10. This will be it, and we'll be done. This is incredible. Another mystery also I point out. To the righteous and the wise shall be given books of joy, of integrity, and of great wisdom. To them shall books be given, in which they shall believe, and in which they shall rejoice. And all the righteous shall be rewarded, who from these shall acquire the knowledge of every upright path. In those days, says Yahweh, they shall call to the children of the earth, and make them to listen to their wisdom. Show them that you are their leaders, and that remuneration shall take place over the whole earth. For I and my Son will forever hold communion with them in the paths of uprightness while they are still alive. Peace shall be yours. Rejoice, children of integrity, in the truth.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.